Don't pull a hammy.
A little more of a rear end.
We're all blowed out. Look, it's crumbling.
It's literally gone.
Wow.
Shut up.
There's nothing holding the axle in.
Hello.
Oh, all right. Okay. It's basically moonshine.
Like a pig in mud.
Never heard that word in my life.
Wow.
Murph.
Shush.
Hi.
I'm a visual learner. What is so funny about it? Wanting to do that my whole life. You better run. You hear that rattling noise?
Uh-oh.
Welcome back to the Sleeper Dude YouTube channel. We are back with our big block twin turbo Fairmont. You know, kind of a grandma car with a hog leg under the hood. It may have already broke some stuff. So me and Ralphie have been doing a lot of street driving with it, tuning it just on motor. That's why we have the pipe off here. Well, it's doing the no daddy not the belt move, like, you know what I'm saying? You know Marge. That's what it's doing. I'll show you some footage right here. It blew my mind to watch the GoPro footage of it. Like, I knew it was moving, but it's really moving. Like, we're probably lucky we didn't break the tail shaft on the transmission. I plan on taking this thing to the dyno because basically when me and Ralphie hook the turbo pipe up, you can't hardly drive the car on the street and make pulls because it instantly spins. We really would like to get kind of a base tune-up on the car before we take it to the track because we don't want to go to the track and then it not be anywhere close to being tuned because that's a lot safer than trying to do it out here on the street. Yeah, we were only on 4 pounds of boost and it was blowing the casings off of it.
Yeah.
So we got some suspension parts we got to fix on this thing. We are going to turn on our second fuel pump, so we're going to have twice as much fuel pump. I'm wanting to weigh it as well, see what she weighs. If you remember from the last video, our slicks, they're 27 by 10.5, were rubbing really bad, especially on that side. I think that rear axle doing all this was definitely contributing to that. Even these little dinky doodle 14 by 7s we have on there right now are rubbing, depending on what you do. Like you turn and stuff and they rub. And there's no reason why that should rub, like it's tiny. So let's get it up on the lift, get it blown apart, and get to work on this rear suspension. So I want to take a measurement here and see about our ride height before we do anything. Obviously, we're not going to be running these on the car once we get our issue sorted out, but I want a baseline for where our ride height needs to be. So that's 23 3/4. I think we're going to have to go up slightly. Once you have the slicks on here, I mean, they're really tucked in there because they're quite a bit taller than this. I want to get as low as I can. This wheel tub goes like this. I'm afraid that once we get like, you know, kids and luggage and stuff in the car, it's going to rub really bad right there.
Push it up.
You got that? These were on the Malibu. They came with the Zephyr, if you remember. They didn't fit the Zephyr.
They'll fit.
Yeah. I think I already see an issue that I had forgot about.
What's that?
Remember we had to mount the shocks inboard from the factory mounting hole because of our rear ends narrowed? That's where the coilover's got to go.
Oh, fun times.
I had forgot about that. Maybe we can move the calipers side to side and put them forward, maybe?
Well, the calipers kind of look...
Yeah.
They're pretty weird.
Well, look, now that I'm looking at it, the brakes aren't doing anything. Look at this. We've been driving this thing quite a bit, and look, it hasn't even rubbed the rust off. Remember when we bled the brakes, we got like hardly any fluid back here? We were getting fluid, but not pressure.
Yeah.
We may have either bad calipers or bad hoses, because this car sat a long time before I got it going, you know. A lot of times a hose will swell up shut on an older car. I believe this is a rear axle out of a 94, 95 Mustang, like the red one out in the field. So this is a wider rear axle than stock. We had it narrowed, I believe 5 inches total, 2.5 on each side. And as you can tell, that puts the brake caliper in really far. We're gonna have to do something with that to make all this work.
Next car.
Don't pull a hammy. Well, looks good. It's been rubbing a little bit right there. You see that?
Yep.
If I would have not videoed the rear axle, what it was doing, I would have never believed it was moving that much. As you can tell, our bushings have busted out of the rear suspension. So these are just like the cheapest off-brand control arms you can buy. And whatever they made the bushings out of has completely busted out. Yeah, they're all that way. Oh, wow. Come here and look at this one. I think if I support it a little bit where it's not on full extension, we can kind of show you what these bushings are doing. So that bushing's completely gone.
Oh my gosh.
Guys, building a drag car project like this Fairmont is kind of expensive. You know, if you want to go fast and make big power numbers, it just costs money to do it. So you got to scrimp and save where you can. And one place you can save money without sacrificing quality is eating factory meals. They taste great. They're chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. So instead of driving to town and burning up all that fuel and paying for an overpriced meal, you're talking about restaurant quality without the hassle, without the cleanup and going to the grocery store of making a big meal at home. With our busy schedule going to events, especially this time of year, you know, we don't always have time to make a big meal here at the house. We absolutely love it when our factory box comes every week. I prefer the Protein Plus option. They have a lot of meat like I like. This is actually creamy pork chop right here. They also have vegan plus veggie, calorie smart, keto, and gourmet plus with stuff like shrimp and steak. They have over 35 weekly meal options, and they have tons of add-ons like juices, smoothies, breakfast bites, and more. Let's heat this up and see what you think. And these are fresh, never frozen meals, so this thing hasn't been sitting somewhere in a grocery store frozen like a brick for the last month. 2 minutes, and we're ready to eat. Look how nice this looks. If I didn't know any better, I'd think that came straight from the restaurant. Maybe some of you ladies might could get some of these, and before your husband gets home from work, slide off on the plate. He don't know any different, you know? You look like a hero. Let's cut into this thing here. Look at that. They do a really good job of like seasoning everything. One nice thing is your order size is completely flexible. You can choose between 4 and 18 meals a week, or you can pause your order if you're gonna be out of town or something, or maybe you got family over, you need some extra. They'll send you whatever you want. So head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code SLEEPERDUDE50 to get 50% off your first factor box plus 20% off your next month of orders. That's code SLEEPERDUDE50 at factor75.com to get 50% off your first Factor box plus 20% off your next month of orders. Big thank you to Factor for helping us out and sponsoring this video. We really appreciate them. We've been working with them a long time and we really believe in what they're selling. So go check them out and let's get back to the video right after I get it done eating. Even the one in the rear end right here looks messed up. Yeah, that's just allowing it to have tons of shift on this. Oh, it's even ruined our shocks. Look. It has dented those shocks in,
Oh my goodness.
from where the rear end did this.
Yeah, it did this one too.
So it's crushed our shocks. You see that right there? This one's really bad because it hit that bolt head. I had no idea it was doing it that bad. It was really weird to drive the car. Like, you would give it just the slightest amount of throttle and the whole car would do this in the road.
It was like weird. It was like,
Yeah, so we were really limited on how much we could drive it. So we got these springs and shocks used. I think it was at Ford Fest, wasn't it?
Yeah.
This would probably be great in your little coupe Mustang, but this car's got a little more of a rear end to it, you know? I really wanted to be able to make it adjustable, so we're gonna go to coilovers. Let me show you what they are. This is what we're gonna use. So it's a coilover. The coil goes over the shock. That's gonna completely delete where that factory spring is in the car. And this is gonna go where the factory shock was, and then it gives you all this adjustability here on your ride height. We really need to raise that car up, but there's really not a great way to do that. It's a little easier to lower one than it is to raise it. This allows you to keep the same spring rate, but change your ride height. And with a pretty serious drag car like this, where you're making a lot of power, you need to be able to adjust your shocks. And honestly, I've never had a drag car with adjustable rear shocks. So this is actually a double adjustable shock. This is a QA1 PromaStar double adjustable. You can adjust your compression and your rebound. So compression is, you take off on the line or whatever and the car wants to squat. That's gonna be different depending on if you have slicks or radials. So we have slicks on the car. On a slick car, they usually squat off the line. But if you pay attention to the fast drag radial cars, they actually lift off the line. So your shock settings will be different depending on what you have. So this will allow us to dial that in. And I was just playing with them this morning and it's crazy. I've had adjustable shocks before. You know, like the old school drag shocks that had like 3 settings, and you would push them all the way down and then click them to the side, and like half the time the clicks didn't work. I've had those on a car before, but it never seemed to work. I never noticed a real difference. So feel that. Okay, let Ralphie feel it there too. That's on full soft. Look at that jawline going out there. So you can push it. It's not terrible, right? It's not that bad. So this thing has, I believe, 18 clicks you can go. So I'm going to go full tight with it, and y'all try it again. I did not expect this to be this big of a difference. Now all this is doing is changing the valving in it. So it has like a needle and seat, like a carburetor, and there's like a passage that the fluid goes through, and this is kind of shutting down some of that fluid. Try to open it or push it in now.
Oh, there's no way.
Same shot.
Jeez.
Don't drop it.
Yeah.
Look at that. I couldn't believe it. So it's crazy the difference. Like I can barely move it when you do that. So it really makes a huge difference. I just didn't expect that much of a difference with it. Like it really does something.
Yeah.
So that's going to give us adjustability. That won't come into play until we're at the drag strip with the car. Their lower arms got brand new bushings here. We got the sleeves and everything and the grease for them. A high quality arm versus the cheapest arm you can buy back there. So that's going to help us out there with our bushings and strength and all that. You can tell it's a lot beefier construction. So these are the upper arms, and they give you pinion angle adjustment. So we'll be able to adjust our pinion angle now, which is nice. And you can see it's got a metal, I think it's like a spherical rod end is what that's called. Instead of having like a rubber bushing here, it's all metal. So you don't have any give there. And the car doesn't have a rear sway bar on it. Now we're not trying to hang no curves in this car, but with a drag car, a lot of times people put an anti-roll bar on it. You don't want the car to take off and do this, right? Yeah. Well, maybe for the Instagram pictures you do, but we're gonna put a 1-inch rear sway bar on here. It's solid. Feel that bad boy there.
Oh my lord.
So that's gonna help us not twist so bad coming off the line. That's another thing that can cause it to rub if it twists really hard. We also got our coilover mount brackets here. Make it to where we can mount our coilovers where our factory shocks were. Should make a huge difference. So it already had QA1 suspension on the front. It had tubular K-member, tubular control arms, and coilovers. So I wanted to go with the same thing on the rear. So big thank you to QA1 for helping us out with this build. I'll hold this side, go ahead.
Your arm's good.
We needed to change these bolts out anyway because remember a lot of them were like not the right size or length.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was a mess. Now we got a spring that's under pressure that we need to let down slowly. See, it has an airbag in it because people used to get like footballs and put them in there and blow them up because the car twists this way, so it would squat too hard on this side, so that's what the bag's for.
That torque.
Come on. Ooh.
Just keeps on going.
Ooh, good. Come back. See? We're all blowed out here, so that wasn't gonna do anybody any good.
Do you see your...
Oh, wow, yeah, look at that. It's just completely junk. Look at that. Look, it's crumbling. It's just crumbling into charcoal briquettes over here. I had these same arms on my Turbo Coupe Thunderbird when I came out of high school. Whatever questionable manufacturing techniques they use for these off-brand control arms, definitely not good. And
Brittle beans.
And when you put a powerful engine in front of it, look at that. Look, guys. Wow. I didn't realize how bad it was broke. What's crazy is this wasn't this way when we put it together.
No.
We haven't drove it that much. We just like instantly broke them.
Murph, are you shopping? He's shopping.
Oh, he's always shopping. Look, you want this metal thing? Oh gosh, he does. He actually wanted it. He carries everything off around here. We can use those springs on something else around here. We got plenty of Fox bodies. That's a good spring. It's just a little low for what we're wanting to do and not adjustable.
You're getting out.
Who dropped all these self-tappers in the lift, huh? Did you rub me?
Wait, look.
No, let's see what's in there.
More chunkies.
Ooh.
Here we go.
Ralphie will make like a power hammer out of that or something, right?
Hey! That was a good thought. I may.
Well, you can see the thickness difference between the metals. I have no idea what the wall thickness on this is, but I just like that being square rather than round anyway. Look at the thickness there. They make this a lot stronger. Thankfully, it comes with new hardware. Look at our threads on these. They're all flattened out. So we got to lubricate these sleeves, and they go in here.
Oh.
They press down through there. They're all the same now.
Yeah, look.
I'll put a little bit of grease in here, and they have a grease fitting too, so we can also grease that. Push that down through there, and it has little grooves even for the grease to stay in, which I like. I may have already done this wrong. There's thick ones and there's thin ones. Same thing with these bolts, huh?
Are you
Thick ones and thin
sure
ones.
what side this goes on? How do you tell?
Okay, I put the wrong sleeves in.
Dang it. Oh.
These are for 79 to 98 Fox bodies, so they have a smaller bolt diameter. These and this one are for 99 and up. We're not gonna be using those sleeves. Let's get this one back out. Look at all this hardware we get to use on something else. So it goes like this right here. This is your sway bar mount bracket. This is where the factory coil mounts, but we're not gonna use that. If we wanted to, we could cut this off of here, right? This lip, honestly. So get up through here. Fits a little snugger than the last one. It just fell out, didn't it, the old one? Washer and a lock nut. Watch your head, Granny.
I probably hit my head. Oh, there's that stuff on it. Okay.
It's got the grease on it. That's sticky grease.
Hopefully I put it on the right way.
I hope so too. Our rear end's got to go forward to get this to line up now. Look at that movement.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I'm not going to tighten everything until we get up to ride height.
That really wasn't too bad.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad. Let's do the other side.
Figured it'd take longer.
Put it in this car. It's so nice to not have to put a spring back in it. Is he still after you?
Looks awful.
Yeah, it's like, look at that. Look how much range of motion.
Yeah,
That's like my right knee. There's nothing left to it. They're just using the wrong material for this, huh?
Crunchy.
Whoever made these. One side's completely gone, and this is like wedged into the top of this one half. Wonder how old these are, because the set that I put on my turbo coupe that looked like this, I was like 19 years old, so it's been a minute.
You got a lock in it.
Okay, stop.
Did you say, okay, stop? What she said?
Yeah. Okay, right there. There you go.
Don't hit me. Here, get it lined up.
Oh, you say tiptoe by the window?
No, I didn't.
Nobody said that ever.
More of Waz's strange music.
Hey, I don't always listen, okay? It's just like when I'm feeling funny.
So now we've got less lost looseness in the bottom. Let's go ahead and do the tops.
There's a good shop kitty. Hi.
How's the Beetle doing? Everybody wants to know how the Beetle's doing.
It's running good now.
We drove it yesterday. There you go, Ralph. Check the condition of that bushing for me.
It's gone. It's literally gone.
You see this old beat up rubber bushing here? It may be the best bushing actually, now I think about it, that we have on the rear axle. This is the old stalker and they're pressed into the stock housing. It came with new urethane ones, so we're gonna beat all this out of here. I'm gonna start by trying to push the sleeve out of it. I don't know how hard this is gonna be. This ought to be a little bit better. How rotten that is. See it squishing? Look at that. It's still not wanting to come out of there. I beat that rubber out of there with the air chisel. It was really stuck. It was holding on for all it had. Now I'm trying to file out some of the rubber that's still stuck to it around the edges. I'm gonna burn it out of there. That was a booger to get out of there, but I think we got it now. If your bushings are even more wore out, it'll probably be easier for you. It was like that rubber just didn't want to come off it. So you use the factory shell for the bearing here, the metal part. So we got our brand new polyurethane bushing here, which polyurethane is a lot stiffer than rubber. Rubber just gives a lot. Kind of like me, you know? It's a servant's heart. All right, let's see if we can hammer this into here. Well, that wasn't bad, was it? It also has this ring here that goes on the inside. It fits over the outside of that shell. We got our sleeve here that goes in as well. Feel it squishes that thing out tighter in there. That grease just stays with you, don't it?
It's really sticky.
It really stays with you. We want to put our grease fitting towards the bottom so that we can grease this later. This is going to be about 50 million times better. We have to reuse our front bolt, so I'm going to put the new one in the back here. I got my best old bolt here. We had a couple that were decent. So that's in. Just one more to go, huh?
Yeah.
So this is a triangulated 4-link. Fox body cars and G body platform cars like Malibus and stuff have a very similar rear suspension. These bars are at an angle to keep the rear axle centered in the car. If you watch the Falcon build videos and we put the parallel 4-link, which means the bars are all the same angle, it has to have that track bar, panhard bar at the back to keep the rear end squared up, which is really a better setup if you're wanting to go all out. But this is a really great factory setup. That's why everybody races these cars. Let's see what this last bushing looks like. Oh, nice. Look how gummy it is, guys. Look how chewed up that is. That's crazy. Look, not even held in there anymore. Yeah, this could have definitely been dangerous right here. Could have definitely caused a wreck for sure. It's a good thing we didn't try to push it, huh?
Yeah.
Ah, I gotta beat another bushing out of here, unfortunately. Finally got that booger out of there. That's the hardest part of this whole job. Is just getting that old bushing out of there. So now we have a completely stable rear axle. I'll torque everything down when we get it at ride height, but I guess it's time to take our shocks loose now and brakes off and figure out what we gotta do here now to get the coilovers on here. So we drilled these holes here just as a band-aid to make it work with the brakes before. So we're gonna go back to the factory location over here, which will line it up correctly and make everything not bind up and all that. So you can see why we didn't bolt the shock up in that stock location right there. Look at that dent in that thing, it's completely ruined. Okay, I'm gonna clamp on this flat spots on the top of the shock, keep it from turning on me. Surprised it didn't bust out, you know, fluid everywhere.
Will it still go all the way down? No, it stopped.
Oh, really? There you go. Push right in.
It's not as bad. It stopped too.
Wow, that looks so good.
Put some anti-seize on the threads here. I hate to make them dirty looking, but if you don't do this, the threads will gall up. We had to do the same thing with the Falcon. We gotta assemble these now. So this guy goes on first with the shoulder facing up and it screws all the way down to the bottom. This guy goes on here. This is what actually supports the weight of the car. Is this guy and this top guy right here. Really, it's so legit. You know,
Legit to quit.
you guys will be making shock adjustments.
We'll be lining you up on the track.
Now, here's our new springs. We're gonna put them on here. I think they're 175 pound per inch springs. So this guy goes in here, That's what locks it in. I'm gonna put it upside down and tighten it up until it touches the spring. We'll see what that does for our ride height.
Okay.
Space time.
Why does she do this?
Carlos.
So this is our upper brackets here. This goes in the factory shock mount hole. So we're gonna put that on our upper mount here for our coilover. I really like doing it this way because then you can take your lower control arms loose and you don't have to deal with any coil springs, you know, that are gonna jump out at you. We are going to put the knobs towards the rear and the flat side towards the outside here. It's a lock now, so it won't screw all the way down, okay?
Okay, that's probably good.
Like I said, this has been narrowed like 2.5 inches on each side. So this will be quite a bit farther over and you'll be able to do this on a stock rear axle. But I wanted to narrow it so that I could fit a standard offset hoop in here. We got to figure out why our rear brakes aren't working though, because I was thinking they might have been working some, but there's no way with the way these rotors look. Hopefully we don't have a bad master cylinder. I'm just hoping that we can replace parts back here and fix it. And this is one of the selling points of this car was, it already had aftermarket suspension and it already had 4-wheel disc brakes. This thing was set up for drag racing before I got it. Just not as good as we're about to set it up. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win?
What?
I'm winning. Oh wait, maybe I'm not. I haven't got my first bolt out yet.
Shut it down.
Why is this one?
The aggravation.
Got it, one. I'm gonna win. Winner.
Shut up!
Winner, winner.
You had a star anyway.
I didn't know this start on there. Good job, Mom.
Appreciate it.
So this is gonna go here. And we got a second bolt there. It looks like we gotta drill a hole out maybe a little bit bigger. It's a really thick bracket and everything. I like the way it's made. See how you got in the round spots? That'll spin on you sometimes. So watch, if you line up the flat spots with the drill chuck, it'll spin on you.
That makes sense.
So this is a slotted hole right here and just barely too small. Bottom is a 3/4, the top's a 9/16.
To your baby?
Right there. Look how much less room that takes up. It basically takes up the same amount of room as the original shop did. So you have all this space here that's open now. That's good, boy. Everything is in there now. Just needs to be all tightened up. Now we just got to figure out about this brake situation. What's been done here?
Oh my lordy.
It looks like they milled out the factory brake bracket a bunch and like are using it as the bearing retainer. All right, let's get this bracket off and see what's up. From the factory, a 8.8 rear axle has C-clips that retain the axle. And this has had 9-inch housing ends put on it. Delete the C-clips on this deal. If you're gonna drag race, you're not supposed to have C-clips. It's got 35 spline axles, it's got a spool, but it's a stock housing 8.8. Here, Papa, get it straight now. What? Hey, we're only trying to hammer it back, not in. You're going like in, out.
He's about done for.
There, baby,
He's going down.
There.
Oh, wow.
Well, looks like they put 35 spline axles in it. Okay. So there's nothing holding the axle in the car. There's no bearing retainer. This is the same diameter as that. If you remember any of the 9-inch Fords we've dealt with before, what bolts right here is supposed to have a lip on it that holds the bearing in place. And this has been machined out to the same size as that bearing. So there is nothing holding the axle in. So the only thing holding it is the caliper interference with the rotor. There's nothing stopping this axle from coming out. If it had drum brakes, it would have done shot off in the left field.
Right field, this is the right side of the car.
Oh, good point, valid point. So that's not good.
That's unfortunate.
I really feel like that's a little too thin as well. And you can see how thick it used to be. So if there's any chance of any of this working, we're gonna have to use this on the other side. But I don't like the fact that we don't have anything holding our axles in.
You gotta do something different with that. That ain't gonna fly. I mean, it might fly.
And that looks like too small of a flange. That doesn't look like a 9-inch flange. Let's see if my theory is correct. If I'm right, I haven't took these bolts out. We should be able to pull this axle out without anything being taken loose. Look at that. So if I took the back brakes off, the axles would fly out of the car. Like the way we've done some of our burnout cars, you know, taking the rear brakes off. Look how much easier it is to get to these bolts though.
That'd be so hilarious. It's like,
Is that normal practice? Let us know in the comments. I wouldn't think that you would normally have no bearing retainer in this thing. So a lot of bearing retainers are like a C shape, so you can put them around the axle and put them on there. They just used what they had here, but I kind of wish we'd have went with something else. Is that still stuck? We're all the way out, past the bearing race, and it still won't come out. It's stuck on the splines? It's still stuck. Go, up there. I had some serious spline engagement.
wow.
Just splined up all the way to there. So if we use this bracket here from the other side, like this, will that work? So it would be like that angle right there. And yours look like it's about the same angle as mine. Slightly upward in the front.
Yeah.
Will that clear all the suspension?
Hello. Hi.
See me?
Hello.
I guess this would work. It looks like it could hit this spring for the emergency brake, but we don't even have an emergency brake. And if we're gonna run these, we need to at least put new hoses and calipers on, I feel like. But I really, really don't like this bracket setup. I measured this flange, and this is not a 9-inch housing end flange. This is a standard like 8.8 C-clip eliminator flange, which maybe they meant 9-inch style flange and not actual 9-inch flange. I don't know. So that kind of limits me on my brake options because a lot of brake setups are set up for 9-inch housing ends. So it is possible we would still have nothing holding the axles in except for the brake caliper. I would definitely think that you would have premature wear on your outer brake pads because you're going to have pressure coming out at certain times and the brake pads are going to be holding it in. That means you're generating heat and friction that's going to slow the car down too. Especially if you're going around curves, like street driving it. Really the only way to fix it right would be to buy new brackets for this that have the correct bearing retainer in them, as long as all of our spacing is right with that. I'm gonna have to do some research. It may not be a big difference in price in buying a kit that comes with the brackets versus buying new calipers and hoses and everything for this, you know? Just buy something that's correct. So I've got to look into that and see what we got to do there. So we can't fully finish up the rear end right now, but we can go ahead and put our rear sway bar on. It goes in those 2 bolt holes right here. Well, we're gonna take these bolts. Okay, all right. Okay, guys.
Ow.
You all right?
My funny bone.
Your funny bone.
Apparently can't feel my pinky.
It'll be fine. It'll grow back. So you can see this links the left and right side together, and it's a solid steel bar, so it stops the car from leaning side to side on the launch. It's a beefy boy, huh?
Yeah.
I tried to scoot it as far forward as I could to give it more rigidity from the end of that to the aluminum block.
1.5.
All right, well, go measure the other one. Did you just say probably at the end?
Okay, this is 2.
All right, well, let's push it towards me then. Is that good?
Right there.
What?
You're right there.
Right there?
Yeah.
Wrong way, Wall. Wrong way.
Oh, surprising.
Really satisfied with how everything fit and went in. It looks like it's really well made stuff. It'll probably drive so much better now.
Oh yeah.
It was all over the road like that. I don't think I've drove anything that
Not
was
experienced
that bad.
that before.
Yeah. I think we're done down here for now until I figure out what I'm gonna do about the brakes. So let's go up top and wire in our second fuel pump relay. This is gonna be pretty simple here. These are all the wires that go into our fuel pump module, and there's 2 450 liter per hour pumps in here. So the green and the black wire are the grounds for the fuel pumps, and they're already grounded to the main lug there. So I've only had this one red one hooked up, which is our primary fuel pump, and this is kicked on from the ECU, just your standard fuel pump output. This is our second fuel pump, which we've never turned on. So we'll have double the amount of pumps. The reason we're wanting to do this is a single 450 like this on ethanol. It depends on your setup, but you know, you might make it to like 600 or 700 horsepower with a single one. You know, this motor should be making at least mid to high 500s, maybe 600 on motor at the crank. We know we're gonna need more fuel as we turn the boost up. So what I'm gonna do is hook up a second fuel pump relay right here. And all it's gonna do is take power straight from the battery to the relay, out of the relay, straight to the pump. It's gonna get switched from the ECU. So I'm gonna set it up, I'll show you how. I'm gonna program the output to where when it hits a certain boost level, you can turn on the fuel pump. Now you could set it as any trigger. You could say, set it up where it comes on in a certain gear. You could tell it if it hits a certain RPM, like if it hits a certain fuel flow number. There's all kinds of ways you can do it, but I'm gonna set up where like, if it sees more than a couple pounds of boost, the second pump comes on. So that's the plan. I'll wire it up real quick and I'll show you how we did it. All right, I'm gonna run this wire up under the back seat like those other ones. It's a purple wire. Tell me when you see it. See it?
Yeah.
Yeah, pull that. It's gotta go all the way to the computer. You want some Diet Mountain Dew? There you go. What do you want? I'm going ahead and wiring in the two-step as well. Touch one of those wires. If it shocks you, let me know.
What?
Just a joke. See, when I hit that first button, it sends a ground signal out to that. So hold that wire, let the other two go. That's the one we need right there. We got her all wired in there. It actually was way easier than I thought it was gonna be. So I went here, I went to system parameters, and I went to basic IO, which is inputs and outputs. There's already a thing for a second fuel pump. So I just clicked this checkbox here, and I set up some parameters. So 3 pounds of boost, but I thought, well, what if my map sensor goes funky? So I set up above 1500 RPM. That way it's actually running and it's above 3 pounds of boost. It'll kick on the second fuel pump. So you could set that higher. You could say don't go unless you're above 3,000, which is probably more accurate, but what if it builds boost down low? We'll just let her build, right? We turned that on, and then I went into the pin map over here, view outputs, and I dragged and dropped second fuel pump to output number 2. So anything you don't want as an output, you can drag and drop it up here, and it'll unassign it, and you can drag and drop whatever down here. So I had to click that box over under the basic IO, and then I went to the pin map, and it showed up here then, second fuel pump, and I dropped it down to here. Now G means a ground. So what that's gonna do is when it hits the correct parameters, pin B11, which is a gray wire with a red stripe, is gonna get a ground signal. Let me show you at the back what that means. When that pin gets a ground signal, it goes to here, which is pin 85 on the relay, and that's going to send a ground signal to the relay. All that does is a ground for the relay to turn it on. It does not have any amp load on it. So heavy power in on pin 30, heavy power out, pin 87. This is your ground switch here from the Terminator X on pin 85. And then this looped over power wire is the power supply for the relay, pin 86. So you could switch it power or ground, but our output was a ground. So if you didn't have a computer, you could also switch this off of like a Hobb switch. If you had a blow-through carbureted car, I did that on my Maverick, or a toggle switch, whatever. So that's how it's set up. While I was in here in the pin map, I decided to set up our two-step rev limiter. In order to do that, you go into your spark table, click on rev limiters, and it says the main rev limiter is set right now at 7,000. I clicked in the enable button for the rev limiter number 1, which is actually considered your two-step rev limiter, as most people call it. I set it up for 3,500. I have no idea what it'll be when we get done. So you go back to your pin map. You can see rev limiter number 1 is pin A12, which is a white with a blue stripe wire, and it gets a ground signal. So what I did was I went from my ground source here, this ground bar, up to this button. So when we hit this button right here, it's going to send a ground signal out to that white with a blue stripe wire, which will tell the computer to turn on the two-step rev limiter. So we should have a two-step now and a second fuel pump. It's not that hard. You can really just drag and drop the stuff around. It's really neat. Hopefully, all this will work. You want to test it?
Yeah.
So we just sent it to the ECU. You got to cycle the ignition afterwards anytime you change the input and output. So we're going to try the output test here. It's basically telling us you could blow your junk up. Okay. So right here, second fuel pump on. Hear it?
Yeah.
Keep it on?
Yeah.
Okay, so we did something right. It looks like we did everything correctly. Well, that's how easy it is. I'm going to take our fuel line loose here at the rail, and we're going to pump all the gas out of this. And this has 93 octane with about 30% race gas in it. That's what we've been driving on, because this is a 10-to-1 compression motor, and then we're running boost on it. So we need all the octane we can get, and race gas is very expensive. The closest place I know of that sells it, it's $22 a gallon right now, if you get one of those 5-gallon pails. So we're going to pump all this out. We're going to throw it in one of our other cars. So we're going to switch this thing over to ethanol. It's actually flex fuel, which they sell at like Speedway gas stations in Tennessee. It can be anything from 50% ethanol up to 85%. It's not like E85 race fuel, which has 15% race gas and 85% ethanol. That's a lot of fuel. And that's just one pump, guys. All right, Riley, shut it off. That's about full. I don't know the exact number, but you know, we're going to be using like 30% more fuel on ethanol, but it's less than $3 a gallon. And it has over 100 octane. There's really not another fuel that touches it for the price. Oh, see you showed up?
Hi, baby.
Where you been, girl? Rooting?
Oh my gosh. Ew, it's wet.
So we got only the best $2 race gas here. This is just straight from the pump. This is what I ran with my LTD every day, driving it back and forth to work. It is a little bit harsh on some things, but nothing like methanol is.
Isn't it corn?
Yeah, it's corn.
It's corn.
So we're supporting farmers. Yeah.
I think it smells good.
It does smell good. It smells a lot better when it's running. I just couldn't imagine spending $20 plus a gallon.
That's wild.
Almost 10 times the price. It's basically moonshine, guys. Especially what we're running the car off of. Corn alcohol. See, it's completely clear looking. Cheaper than 87 octane. In theory, we should have to like highlight the whole map and add like 30%. But I have a theory that this thing's a little bit rich at idle because basically the way it starts up, it kind of sounds like it's loading up on fuel. So I think I'm going to just see what she does on startup. Sounds like it's running clean there. I'm just gonna run it like that and we'll do some street driving when we get these brakes figured out.
She what?
Like a pig in mud.
Guys, you've been asking for it a long time. We finally have a Wah and Ralphie shirt. Look, we got the Ralphie Look at Them Dime shirt. YouTube certified welder. Can you believe it? Look, even got his name tag on there. And we got the Wah shirt with her beetle on there. You guys have been asking for that forever. Rocky's even on there with his sunglasses on. So go check it out at thesleeperdude.com. We just got these in, so get them while they last. We got a limited number of them. We also got hats, hoodies, lots of other t-shirts, lots of stickers, artwork from the kids, a little bit of everything. So go check it out at thesleeperdude.com. As always, thanks for your support.
Whoa, whoa.
Welcome back. So it's been a couple days. I did some research and checked prices on stuff, and what turned out to be the best option was I just ended up ordering a new brake kit from Summit. Now this is a real reasonably priced brake kit. It's like $500 for everything. It comes with new rotors, new calipers, brackets, hoses, everything you need. And the main thing we really needed was a bracket like this that gives us adjustability. And this makes me feel a lot better. Look how thick this bracket is versus what they machine this down to. It's basically sheet metal right there compared to what we're gonna be using. Talking to some of these places, they're like, yeah, it's not normal for your axles not to be held in. That's not a good deal. So I ordered these Moser axle retainers for like a C-clip eliminator 8.8. So I've got that now to retain our axles. The only thing I see that we may have a problem with is the standoff on these brakes from the axle flange here to the brakes is like 3 3/16, and this brake kit is for a 2.5, but it has spacers and things. I think we're going to be able to figure it out. Big thank you to Summit Racing for their help with our channel. If you don't already buy your stuff at Summit Racing, I don't know what you're doing, okay? They have the best website in the universe, and when I order stuff, I get it here the next day, and I just got normal ground shipping because they're in McDonald, Georgia. Go check out summitracing.com. They got everything you need to build your car, and they got the best prices. I've been using them for over 20 years. The part numbers for everything we're using are in the description if you're having a similar setup and wondering what to get. It's got brand new calipers and the brackets. I believe this is actually the exact same caliper, which this kit is for a Mustang. Now we're gonna have drilled and slotted rotors to get some of that heat away from us. It wasn't that much more to go with a bigger one, but I was just afraid we weren't gonna have room because we're only running 15, and we got Steelies, which usually are pretty compact inside. This just eliminates a lot of questions we have on, does it have good calipers? Does it have good hoses? Because we've never had rear brakes in the car. It even comes with the hardware. I think this is the exact same kit we put on the Gremlin last year. It even got a tag frame wall and stickers. Put that on the other side of the car. You're not the doctor. So now we'll have this retainer here. Only thing I don't like is it doesn't set flat against it, but I did some measuring with the old caliper, and with these two guys, it will sit exactly where it needs to sit, but I don't know if that means that they put the bearing on the axle in the wrong place or they welded this in too far. I have no idea. I gotta pull this axle out to install these brackets. I think that the axle tube's possibly bent because look how there's a gap here, but it's overlapping the tube here, and it kind of wedges in there as it goes in. So I think this axle tube is bent, honestly, and I have no idea why it would be this hard to get out of the splines. Finally. I wouldn't have put it back in there, but I had to measure everything. This is probably our best angle, don't y'all think? Like this way?
Yeah, probably.
About here? Maybe like that, guys? What do you think?
Yeah, probably.
Not that angle. I got our brake bracket, the correct direction here for what we need. I've got my O-ring on there and lubricated up. So this guy's gonna go in here, but we gotta get these washers behind here. Ooh, we're gonna have to trim these washers back. They're hitting the bearing, aren't they, before they can actually go through? I might have to grind a flat edge on these washers. I'm gonna get them all in there together, so hopefully I can grind them evenly. That'll work, don't you think?
Yeah.
Get the flat side toward the bearing here. It should sit right there, no problem. So I was worried on whether or not my bolts were gonna be long enough. It looks like they will be, as long as we can fix our spacing on this half over here. I originally thought that this bracket was gonna have to go straight to the caliper, but it has this in between, which really helps us out. If we can change this here, because you can like put on this side, put on that side, and it comes with spacers. So I think we're gonna have just enough threads. I was really worried about that. And before everybody blows up the comments and says that the rotor's backwards, right side of the car, these go forward, okay? Every time we do drills and slotted rotors, everybody's like, you put the rotors on backwards. That's just to hold our rotor in place till we figure out the spacing. Bleeder always goes to the top. You can switch sides with them. I'm gonna take the caliper off the bracket because the bracket's what we really need to make sure it's centered up. Because the caliper can kind of float in there, you know? This bracket's supposed to go on the back side, and it's supposed to have a spacer to space it even farther back. It looks like it's gonna have to at least go on that side because that's too far out. So every single brake kit I found was for 2.5-inch standoffs, or I would have got one that was made for our spacing. Oh, that's pretty close there. Maybe these guys are the perfect distance. That would be great, wouldn't it? No, they're not. Okay, so we need to kind of split that difference. Maybe we can use just like a washer in here. We'll get it, guys. Just gonna have to find the right combination. How many washers will it take?
Probably about 30.
See, if we just bolt it right there, it's like flat against the rotor. So we've got to get it evenly spaced. It's looking like a 2-washer deal, maybe. Of course, there's not enough room, so I'm gonna have to do the same thing to these washers. Look, what is Murphy doing to my legs? I don't want to play push you down game.
Move.
We're gonna have to square off one side of these washers. Hey, it fits. We'll do some measuring and see if that's good enough for who it's for and what they're paying. That looks good enough for me.
slightly closer on the backside. But with this being, you know, floating, I think as long as it's not hitting the rotor, we'll probably be good. We got a pad retention spring here we got to install. I think this thing's gonna stop on a dime, give you 8 cents change.
Hopefully.
On a turbo car, it's really good to have good rear brakes, because if you're trying to foot brake the car and stall it up on the line, which you really need with a turbo car, you need good brakes. Sometimes guys will run dual calipers in the back even. Also got to take our new pads here and snap these little guys on here. These are called abutments.
Yeah, abutments.
I've never heard that word in my life. Now that our pads are in there, just push it against the spring, just like Murphy's pushing against my legs. It definitely would have been a problem if we had the factory coil spring there. Look how cool our rotors look now. So it came with new brake hoses, which is very nice. And they're stainless, so they don't swell under pressure. It's got a banjo fitting too, so you can move it any way you want to, or play Foggy Mountain Breakdown with it. Either way. So this little bracket here sits on the rear axle, and then it hose clamps to it. It has this little retainer, like every brake line has pretty much. This dude we'll put in there probably as far as we can go, and we're gonna have to remake our metal line and replace our rubber hose. Need to leave a little bit of slack in that, I guess. But you could just weld this bracket on there if you didn't want the hose clamp, but who knows, one day we might need to pull this clamp off and use it somewhere, you know?
Exactly.
It's always nice to have a spare.
You got the whole bag? Give me that. Whole bag. Brake cleaner in it.
That bracket was in our way anyway. We're gonna replace that hose too. I just need to figure out what kind of hose to get. Go down just barely.
Oh, you're cooked.
Whoa. Okay, up. Perfect. All right. I think it'd be better just to make a new line than it would be to try to use these, you know?
You're leaking.
Run it out. Good deal. See, I don't know what they've done, but it doesn't look factory at all where it meets up here. Some sort of crazy deal. They got a union up here about 6 inches up, and then this guy's just hanging out there. I really don't like any of that. So the magic combination for us was 2 5/16 washers between the axle flange and the bearing retainer, then putting the second brake bracket on the backside, and then putting 2 7/16 washers in here. That's how we made it work. Anytime you can take a union or an adapter out, you're better off. I don't think that was made to do that. It doesn't even look like it has a big enough sealing surface. See, that splits off, and it's hard to find lines that have that built into it. We had a lot of trouble with Wrong Auto, where the factory brake line did this, but the new one that they gave us didn't. Here, we need to test these lines to see if fluid goes through them or not, guys.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that was fun.
Oh, it's so bitter.
Let me try.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Ready,
Okay.
ready?
That's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Now the fun part of getting this back in there. Everybody cross your fingers that bearing don't mess up on us. Say your prayers tonight.
Cross my grippers too.
That's nice. Just trying to get everything in there at the same time and keep the washers the right direction.
It's time for FaceTimes.
She's so aggressive.
You feel those little bottom teeth?
Yes. She gets her teeth out, don't she?
Murphy. Murphy? Give me your Merv.
At least we'll have some cool spacers we don't need on this one. We can use on something else.
Don't let Ralphie see them.
I know, he'll have something made out of them, won't he? Yeah, they're just a little too thick for what we're doing. Why are you FaceTiming my elbow? Oh, now you're gonna eat my shirt. Okay. I'm just wondering what numbers it's gonna put down on the dyno.
A million.
I'm worried.
Why are you worried?
Every time I get on the dyno, except for maybe the Super Coupe, I've usually been disappointed.
Oh, our sleepy eyes.
She's such a baby. Love nuts. Look at this puppy.
Oh, Lord.
Whoa.
Jammed her up already, did you?
Oh, I did.
This is the first time we've used it. He's been on me to get one. Was it 75 foot-pounds of torque? Something like that, so
Big boy.
we're excited about that one. I think we got it all together now, except for our brake line and our center brake hose. I guess I should have ordered sooner because I thought we had one here. Ralphie, show them what we got here. Those are all the wrong auto ones I've had before, but all those are still wrong. My go-to brake hose, plumbing the brakes on any car, if you get one for like a mid-70s Ford F100 pickup truck, they have that splitter built into them in the center, which a lot of brake hoses don't. So I usually buy a rear brake hose just for a 73 F100. It has 3/16 brake line in and out, so it's like the easiest one to use. So I've ordered one. It's supposed to be here tomorrow. I guess I'm gonna torque our bolts and then we'll be waiting on a brake hose.
That's torque.
A bunch of the bolts are supposed to be torqued to 75 foot-pounds, so. That's a get her done.
Ooh. Wow!
That thing is perfect for that. Like, there's only about that much room and you can get in there with that. That really sped all that up, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Murphy. You better run. Here he comes.
Ew.
Shoot. Come on, let's go. Good job.
Open range
Figure out
tonight.
to be killers, maybe only 2 or 3 like Butler would have done much of it.
Next day, kind of late in the evening, we got our brake hose though. Here's the part number for it if you need one in your life. You can use this on like every old car if you just use it. It's kind of long, longer than normal for a car, so you can do a lot of things with it. So I'm going to make my hard lines right here to meet up with this somewhere, then we'll bleed the brakes. I guess we'll go up here and just put the brake hose right top center because that's where the hard line is. What do you think, Ralphie, about there? Make the curve?
Yeah.
Well, this is a tight turn. We do normally bend them with our hands. The tight turns, I usually use this. So you need to have that kind of the center of your bend. Where I marked it, it's probably going to be about there.
Okay.
And then
Are
go,
you ready?
yeah, make it 90 degrees. Ooh, that was so fast. Okay. So
That looks fun.
it is. I should be able to hand bend the part above it. Like this. Right about there. We'll basically make 2 identical ones on each side. You just spin that, and when it gets easy to do, tighten the knob tighter. That's how you cut it. You gotta learn this stuff if you're gonna make brake lines. You know?
I think she's loosening it, isn't she?
Oh.
Murphy, why you gotta sit on my feet?
No.
He loves to sit on people. There you
Was
go.
I supposed to do that?
Yeah, that's what the point was.
Oh.
You did good.
Good
Now you
job,
know.
please.
That'll work.
I'm a big boy. I'm a big boy. Oh, you want to see NASCAR?
No,
We don't need
we don't need it
NASCAR.
fast. We need it right.
It's so fun.
You like doing that?
Yes.
Y'all seen us make a bunch of brake lines lately. You know what we're doing here. Should meet up just about perfect right there. Got this guy in here now. This is actually made to bolt down to the housing on a vent like that, but that's too far away from my spot that my brake hose comes through, so that's why we're not doing that. I'm gonna take this union apart, see if I can reach the brake hose with this line up front. They must have had a cut in the brake line here or something. They put this union in. If we can go straight to this, which it looks like we can, that would be a lot better. Yep, good deal. I got my professional mount here for our brake hose so it doesn't touch the drive shaft. You just want to calibrate these correctly. That should be perfect right there. As long as you cut the end off, it's professional. Yeah, I'm still pouring big balls into small balls because it's cheaper by the ounce. I really don't like to bleed brakes this way. I prefer to start with the rear and then bleed the front, but the front's already bled. It may make it a little harder to bleed the rear. Pump it up, Law. Sputters. There we go, we're getting fluid now.
That felt different.
The pedal went down?
Yeah.
One of my earliest memories of working on cars with my dad was bleeding the brakes, but it was like in an emergency situation, like we were broke down away from home. So I think that's why it kind of stuck in my mind. Yeah, we never got that kind of fluid back here. Remember when we tried to bleed this, guys? It was just like dribbling fluid out.
Yeah, it was terrible.
I think it was a combination of old calipers and old hoses. The hoses are a big deal, and if you have an old car that has drum brakes that are adjustable, adjust your brakes. That makes a big deal. We're gonna throw these ugly boys back on there just because this is what was on it when we did our baseline ride height measurement. It was 23 3/4. I wanna kind of get it at least back there. We'll probably raise it up.
Did you say NASCAR?
No.
It's not that fast.
And that's close right there. So if you had a 14, you could fit these brakes, but just barely. So we probably could have went with a little bit bigger brakes. Consider we're running 15s.
Whoa. You ain't ready for it.
That was terrible.
Johnson, it's getting low. Oh, we're low. We're lower than we were. 22 1/4. So we're like an inch and a half. We need to go up. So we're gonna put some more pressure on here.
So ridiculous.
You gotta get out.
I don't have a coilover wrench, but I've got an oil filter wrench. I'm trying to get these set about the same. That's about 4.5 inches from the bottom. I think I'm gonna try it from there and see what that does. 23. All right, let me go up another inch. If you didn't know, you need to have the weight off the vehicle when you're doing this. We're almost at the limit there. We're at 5.5, okay. So we moved it up 1 inch. Now, another option here that a lot of people do, if you can't get your ride height exactly where you want it, just by adjusting this, you could move this mount point up or down. You know, this would lower the vehicle, that would raise the vehicle. So that's another option you can do. Just above 23 3/4. So we're just barely higher, basically the same height we were. But with the rear end being solid now, not moving around, that may fix all our problems. Let's try that. Let's throw the slicks on it and see if they rub. Marge made me get a new slick for it.
Yes.
Because I was ready to like flip it on the bead so you couldn't see it on the inside and just call her good, but we tore up the old slick really bad.
There you go.
Boom.
Oh,
The lifters.
you do this every time.
Oh, we're goaded. Until you turn right or left, then.
It doesn't turn. It doesn't turn, it's the rear.
Shush! Do not. Oh.
I'll definitely
my
edit that out.
gosh. Oh, am I that stupid?
Right?
So,
Yeah, we got
Is
rear
that with
steering.
all cars, or am I just special?
some cars steer in the rear, not this one. It's tight. I mean,
It's left side really.
it's like a finger width. Of course, if we change our shock settings, it'll be stiffer. I think we're okay back here. We got about a half inch, which is all you really need. So we're 8 inches to the rocker there. We're 9 inches here. So it's an inch higher than that. I love how it looks. If it rubs, we may have to raise it up another inch or so. Before we let this thing down, I'm gonna measure our pinion angle. Pinion angle is not just the angle of the pinion itself on the differential. It seems like a lot of people think it's just the rear end, but it's actually the angle of this versus the angle of that, okay? So if this is down this way and this is down this way, you add the two together. If one was the opposite, you would minus it. I'm gonna go off the bolts back here because that's the flattest spot on the rear end that I can find. We're at 2.5 degrees. The drive shaft is at 0.3. We basically have exactly the opposite of what we need. So this is very exaggerated. We're 0.3 of a degree and the drive shaft is actually going uphill slightly. And the rear end is 2.5 degrees, also going uphill towards the middle. So that puts our pinion angle 2.8 degrees, okay? There's something funny I'm missing?
No, it's your handwriting.
We need the opposite. We need like a 2 or 3 degree pinion angle that's the opposite direction. So instead of being like this, it needs to be like this. Because when the car launches, it's going to raise the pinion angle some. If you had a 4-link car that was like parallel 4-link with heim joint ends, you may only want it down like 1 degree or something. Basically, the more your suspension does this, the more pinion angle you need. So like a leaf spring car, you may need like 4 or 5 degrees. So we're gonna try to get to 2 degrees the opposite direction. Since we have adjustable upper arms, this allows us to adjust our pinion angle. And we are going to shorten these upper bars. And we wanna make sure we shorten them an even amount because we don't wanna put the suspension in a bind or have any rear steer effects from this. That going the right way, Wall?
Yeah.
It's nice to have some adjustment on this if you know what you're adjusting. That's at 90? Mm-hmm. All right, we're straight up and down. Let's measure our drive shaft though. Let me see where it's at. So we're at 1/10 of a degree. So, okay, we gotta get this to like 2 degrees, Wah. I used to be scared of things that were adjustable until I learned what the adjustments meant. And it's not so scary anymore. Where'd you come from, girl?
Hi.
Did you escape?
Hello.
I'm also measuring to make sure that our lengths are the same. So we know our bars are all the same length. So this is 2.4 degrees down, and that is 6/10. So that puts us at a 3 degree pinion angle. I'm gonna call that good right there. I think that'll be a good place to start. I'm a visual learner, okay? From what I understand, you want your pinion angle to be 0 under acceleration. So this is what we have now. So it's down. Because they're both down in the middle, those numbers add together. Because these are both up in the middle, these add together. And what is so funny about it?
This is like the best drawing
Thank
I've
you.
ever seen.
We had this, and now we have this. This is the way you want it. There you go.
Dad?
What? I'm just checking my rear end. It's not me. Oh.
Dad.
I think we're full.
Oh yeah.
If you go too much, he gets wet.
He took it too far. That's too far, bro.
That's a good one.
Dad
That needs
joke.
to be a shirt.
Dad joke right there.
So I'm just gonna go ahead while we're under here and grease these joints. On a drag car, your suspension is something that you definitely want moving freely. You can have all the right parts, and if it's all bound up, it ain't gonna work. So our QA1 shocks came with like a reference guide for how much clicks you should give it depending on what you're doing. So for drag racing, which it looks like they're kind of basing this on slicks, from full soft, you could leave it there or go up to 6 clicks on the compression side. So it's the going down side. So that makes sense because the slick car usually squats off the launch. Then it says on rebound, so going back up, 4 to 10 clicks. So it's basically saying more stiff on the rebound, less stiff on compression. So I think I'm gonna go like middle of the road on both of them and go 3 clicks in on the compression. I'll go like 7 clicks in on the rebound. How about that? That's so cool. I've been wanting to do that my whole life. It looks so mean under here with like the big slicks and the coilovers. I just love it. All right, same thing over here, guys. We'll see how that does. That'll give us a baseline. All right, let's weigh it. Sure does run quiet. See how the brakes work. Hey, got good brakes. Post in the comments, what's it gonna weigh? Big block turbo Fox body car, full interior, on Steelies. It's gonna be over 3,000, 100%. It should be somewhere between 3 and 4. I'm gonna say 3,300.
Is that locked in?
Yeah, I guess I'll lock it
I
in,
haven't guessed
3,300.
I'm guessing 3,400. 3,550. I'm gonna go 3,450.
3,200.
Okay.
Oh, mom's going low, okay.
She a big girl.
I'm afraid she's heavier than I think. She got a lot of travel, huh? But it should definitely be nose heavy, which is actually kind of a good thing sometimes. You see a lot of the like drag radial cars will be like 58% on the nose.
1,700 pounds.
Okay.
Well, 1,767. It's more on the right side. See how the weight's going up? Because it's going like this and more weight's going on the front.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Here you go. You ready?
Yeah.
Please give me good news.
3,140.
Ooh, it's lighter than that mom one, right?
Did I win?
31, 38.
Mom won. Yeah.
It's lighter than I thought.
That's pretty
31,
light.
38.
Negative Nancy over there guessing top weight.
I know it was a big block car. Even though we went with aluminum heads and aluminum water pump and all that stuff, I figured it was more. So we're 57.1% on the nose. So that's right where I was talking about with the weight. So that may actually be good for keeping the front end down.
Why would you want to keep the front end down?
Well, if you want to go fast, you don't want to be doing this all the time. Okay, well, I'm glad she's lighter than I thought. So that's 220 pounds lighter than the LTD wagon with LS motor in it. And that's right at where the Maverick was. I think the Maverick was like 32. With it being heavier on this corner, that may actually be good because when I'm in the driver's seat.
I might level it out some.
Yeah, oh, maybe. What do we at the top of that? That's full extension on the
Right here,
front strut, yeah.
29 and a quarter.
Let's see. That's a lot of front end travel. Hold on, let me jam it. What's it at now?
24.
So 5 inches of travel.
That's a lot.
That may be a recipe for a wheelie in a car with the kind of power we're planning. So we should be set up pretty good for slicks. As badly as we want to go out and drive this thing and do a little street tuning on ethanol, it is 10 minutes from sundown out there. So I really don't want to go out and do all this in the dark. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll take this thing for its first drive on ethanol with good suspension. Can you get past Murphy on the way home? Look, Murphy, come here. Oh, he gave up quick tonight. He's tired. Oh, you better run. They're buddies. Next day, we are ready to drive this thing. I've got my tuning shirt on. You know, I don't have to get dirty hopefully today. Fingers crossed. Right now we got the pipe unhooked, so there's no boost going to the motor. I always like to tune it there first before you hook the boost up. You want the thing to drive good everywhere, so we're gonna focus first on just driving around with ethanol, seeing how much more percentage it wants. This is flex fuel, not necessarily E85. It could be E85, but it's probably not. It's probably down there closer to 50%, if I had to guess. Once you hit about 50%, ethanol, you pretty much getting all the benefits. So sometimes it's good to have E50 in the car because it taxes your fuel system less. Let's do that, and then we can hook boost pop up and do some low boost tuning. Everybody buckle back here?
Yeah.
I added a couple safeties today. So if it goes below 10 pounds of oil pressure, it shuts fuel off. And if it goes below like 20 pounds of fuel pressure, it shuts everything down. So just figured we needed some extra safeties here. Coolant temp is 76 degrees. So let's see how this thing starts up. It doesn't rub now. I've got the closed loop compensation turned on. Basically that adds or takes away fuel for us. We're just gonna drive around, guys. See how it runs. Nothing weird right there so far. What's the air fuel ratio kind of hanging out at?
13.
13, that's not bad.
Yeah, 14.
It's not even correcting anything yet, so maybe we're pretty good. And I hear a noise under the car.
I hear some over here.
I don't know what that means. I'm gonna pull over and look.
Your temp's 137.
You hear that rattling noise?
Yeah, that's true.
What is that?
I don't know.
I don't know if I left something loose. I don't see anything hanging down. I don't know what that was. Drive shaft looks fine. I know I got a wire hanging down, but that's always been there. I don't see any loose bolts or anything either. We don't know. Crank it back up. I turned the torque converter lockup off. He really banged the gears hard there. We were driving it just normal, so I need to adjust the settings on that. Air fuel's 15-ish. But it's chopping right now. Anytime it's chopping, it's not really giving good info.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything rubbing.
Yeah.
I is it not learning? Let's do a data log here. See what it does.
There you go.
It felt fine, didn't it?
Yeah.
Alright, save that one.
Didn't even work. It didn't even work.
Our computer's messing up, guys.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what that noise was we were hearing, but I don't hear it anymore.
Yeah, you here. Okay.
Okay, stop it there. I'm surprised how well it's running. I don't know why, but the learn function is not working. So we gotta look into that. I'm gonna pull over again and look at this data log. We're pulled over here at the prettiest farmhouse in the country, I think. It's holding 160-degree temperature. That's great for a big motor, you know.
Yeah.
We shifted at 5,400 out of first gear. So the air fuels were in the 13s. So it is lean. It should probably be closer to like 12.5 air fuel. Look how dead flat it is though. Like, I'm surprised it's not, it's like right at mid to high 13s all through there. So you can figure this up on a calculator. You can put in your current air fuel and put in your target air fuel, and it'll tell you how much offset you need. Our current air fuels are about 13.8 at wide open throttle. So if I want it to be 12.5, I say 13.8 divided by 12.5 equals 1.1. So it needs 10% more fuel. So we do not have a real high ethanol content, or we were already rich, one of the two. So everything above 3,200 RPM, we're gonna add 10%. So if you pick kind of the area where your problem is, you go back to your fuel map. If it's open, it shows you exactly where that's at on the fuel map. 0 pounds of boost, which is what we're running at now, above 2,700. We'll just highlight everything. And we'll just add 10%. I'm gonna right click. I'm gonna say offset select times 1.1. So we should see all these numbers go up 10%.
130.
There you go.
143.
There you go, we got 10% more fuel. Let's see how that drives.
Train.
I looked around, I don't know why it's not doing the learn table. It may be some of the safeties I put in, so I changed some of the settings on the safeties. We'll see if that helps. Car definitely feels more stable at speed now. Before it was all over the road, just normal driving.
It's learning.
It's learning now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
It feels strong on motor.
Yeah.
What's it doing? Adding fuel on normal driving?
I guess it's positive numbers.
See how much the closed loop compensation. 2%, that's not bad. I must have guessed pretty good. Definitely felt like it made more power on that second pull though.
Yeah.
This thing really drives good. You wouldn't ever know it makes so much power. Really surprised me it drives this good on this big of a camshaft too.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to like stop and go drive a lot and do like on and off the throttle, accelerating. Brakes feel good.
I can look.
You look at the learn table there.
No, it's not.
It's not adding a lot. It's adding a lot down low, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, you can see what it's trying to do here. It's adding 10% of fuel, which is what we did at wide open throttle, right at 2,000, 2,200, 2,500, so right through here. The fuel's good, pretty good up here. So this is after we've added what we did. So you can see right here is our air fuel. This is our air fuel line. So we were in the 12.5s. That's incredible that we clicked one button and all that's nice again. So everything looks fine there now. Our ignition timing was 37.5 degrees the whole way out. Usually big block Chevys like high 30s, some of them like even 40 degrees. So I just kind of guessed at it for all motor. I pull a bunch of timing under boost. So this is our learn table like I showed you. This is where it's trying to add fuel. I'm going to transfer this to the base fuel map. So it's going to go over here and add that fuel in where it needs it. Transfer to base. Do I want to smooth it out? Sure. So now all that's gone. Go to the base fuel map and there's more fuel right there. You can see it's darker right there. We should be a lot closer now on where we need to be. goes over into 1 pound of boost, 2 pounds, 4 pounds. And we have more fuel as it goes up, so it should be pretty close. I'm gonna hook the pipe up now.
It's a lot quicker than I thought it was going to be, actually.
Really? That's just motor. That's no boost at all.
That's crazy.
I can't wait to see what it's gonna do on the dyno. I will say that I found out it's a Mustang dyno is what I've been told. It's a heartbreaker. So if you know anything about dynos, generally they put out lower numbers than like other brand of dynos. We saw this.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we got a little bit of oil dripping out of that. I bought a catch cam for the car, but I have not put it on yet, so I need to do that at some point. Oh, there you go. Okay. Boost pull. Just me and Ralphie on this one. Wall's got nerd squad things to do or something.
The other things.
So this is the lowest we can turn the boost. I think it should be about 4 pounds. This will be the first time the second pump will come on, hopefully. What's the temperature?
457.
Not bad. This thing's just a grocery getter, dude. So we're real close. Already on cruise, that was easy. Usually on a boosted car, they pick up 40, 50 horsepower when you switch to ethanol. So this should be the most power we've seen in the car. Yeah, it pulled pretty good. Unfortunately, we were in second gear on that. I wish we could have took off at first, but I guess I should have downshifted it. We'll look at the data log and see what it says.
It took away fuel.
Taking it away?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. All the vital signs still look good. Negative 0.1%. That's how close we were. That's at 6,000 RPM. And which one's our boost line? Boost is red, so we were definitely boost creeping. But the blue line is our air fuel. Look how flat our air fuel is. Okay, so we are really close on our fuel on low boost at least. We hit a max boost of 5. Okay, the scaling's just weird. This is 4.6 pounds. That's 5 pounds.
Oh.
So it's 0.4 of a pound.
We
is
were
all I'm
also
looking at.
zoomed in.
Fuel pressure stayed steady the whole time. Our ignition timing was 27 degrees. It was starting to pull more out, 26 degrees of timing. Basically, it's pulling 12 degrees of timing for only 5 pounds of boost right there. So we're super safe on all that. It would definitely like more timing, I would think. So our second fuel pump kicked on. Look, right before it, we had 48 PSI fuel pressure. Right here, we have 53. So there's a little bump in fuel pressure when it happened. So all that worked. Do we just leave it there and save the rest for the dyno? So we don't hurt it before we get to the dyno, since we have a scheduled dyno day.
I do not want to have to blow apart everything.
We will see you guys when we head to the dyno.
Shoot!
Guys, I really wanted to take it to the dyno in this video, but with our schedule, it just was not possible. So we will see this thing get on the dyno in a future video coming very shortly. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate your support.